He found the wolf through the sound no one else heard. A brittle rasp beneath a sheet of black ice, a life bargaining for breath, while the city above pretended not to notice. Joker knelt like a confessor and pulled the animal free with hands that had done worse and kinder things than most people imagined. For a moment, all the masks fell away. A man, a wolf, and a debt none of them understood yet. What started as a simple rescue on a frozen night would peel back a history of betrayals, alliances, and a revenge that smelled of iron and snow. This is not a comic book prank. This is a story that eats at the bone. If you want the rest of this dark cinematic ride, the twists, the betrayals, and the price Joker will pay, hit subscribe now. The wolf lay trembling in the corner of Joker's hideout, a half-dead bundle of fur and frost, its ribs moving like the last breath of winter. He had wrapped it in his own coat, purple, torn, smelling of smoke and old laughter. The same coat he'd worn the night the city burned, and the police called it chaos. But this night, there was no laughter, only the low hum of the generator and the distant howl of sirens echoing through Gotham's frozen veins. He watched the creature through the flicker of a single bulb. "You and I," he whispered, "we're both survivors of bad jokes." The wolf's golden eyes met his, not in fear, but with something older, something that saw past the paint, the scars, and the grin that never reached his eyes. It took 3 nights before the wolf stood. Joker fed it scraps, old bread, half-eaten meat, whatever he could steal without drawing attention. Each night, it grew stronger. Each night, he talked to it more. He told it about betrayal, about how the world chooses the ones who try to make it smile, how the city once used him, mocked him, and then called him the villain for showing it its reflection. He laughed when he said it, but his laughter cracked halfway through, thin and brittle. "Funny thing," he murmured, pouring himself cheap whiskey. "I saved a wolf, but I still can't save myself." One morning, when the frost had turned to mist, Joker woke to find the wolf gone. The door was open, claw marks scratched across the wood. It left behind only blood. Not much, but enough to trail out into the alleyway. He followed the marks through the city's underbelly, beneath the bridges, through graffiti-stained tunnels, past the slums where people slept on cold concrete and dreams froze before they could form. He kept walking until he found the trail ending behind an abandoned butcher shop. There, in the dim light of dawn, he saw something that didn't fit the laws of chance. The wolf was alive, standing tall, stronger than before, but not alone. Around it, 5 men in black coats circled like vultures. The wolf didn't snarl or cower. It simply watched them, waiting. Joker smiled. "You've made friends fast, haven't you?" But when one of the men turned, Joker froze. It wasn't a stranger. It was Detective Marrow, the same man who had framed him years ago for the explosion that killed 12 innocents. The man whose lies turned Joker from an activist with a cause into the city's monster. "Still following beasts, are you?" Marrow sneered, his gun gleaming beneath the pale sky. "Can't stay away from strays." Joker tilted his head. "Only the ones who remind me of myself." Then it happened in a blink. The wolf lunged, not at Joker, but at Marrow. Chaos erupted. The men screamed, the gun went off, and snow exploded into the air like shattered glass. Joker didn't run. He watched, calm, as the wolf tore through the men with a silent, efficient rage. No wild howls, no mercy, just vengeance, wrapped in fur. When it was over, Marrow lay gasping in the snow, his blood soaking through Joker's shoes. The wolf limped toward him and stopped. Its fur was matted, its eyes dull but fierce. Joker crouched beside Marrow, taking his hand, not to help, but to make him listen. "You remember the night you burned my name into your lies?" Joker asked softly. "This city loves monsters, Detective. You just never thought one would love it back." Marrow tried to speak, but the words drowned in his own blood. The wolf collapsed beside him, breathing slow, fading again. as if vengeance had been its only reason to stay alive. Joker looked at the dying animal, then at the dying man, and for a long moment said nothing. His face softened, not pity, not sorrow, but something fragile and foreign. He tore a piece of his coat and wrapped it around the wolf's neck, whispering, "No one dies alone tonight." By the time the sun broke over the skyline, both Marrow and the wolf were still. Joker sat between them, his face painted with streaks of red and frost. Then came the sound, boots crunching on ice. Police lights flickered in the distance, drawing closer. Joker stood slowly, his breath clouding the air. He looked down at Marrow's gun, then at the wolf's body. His grin returned, faint but sharp. He whispered to himself, "You wanted a villain, Gotham. I just gave you a story." As he turned to leave, something moved. The wolf, dead moments ago, lifted its head weakly. Its eyes glowed faintly gold, reflecting Joker's face in them like a mirror. It wasn't breathing, yet it was alive. And behind it, on the wall of the butcher shop smeared in blood, were words that hadn't been there before. Debt repaid. Debt renewed. Joker froze. His smile vanished. For the first time in years, he whispered without irony, "What did I just save?" The snowstorm returned that night, swallowing the city in silence. Joker sat in his hideout, staring at the wolf that shouldn't have been breathing. Its body had gone still again, yet its eyes were open, glowing faintly in the dark, reflecting the flicker of the single bulb swinging overhead. Every time Joker looked away, he could swear the creature's head turned just slightly, like it was watching him back. He tried laughing it off. "You're a trick of my conscience," he said, his tone wavering between mockery and disbelief. "A furry little ghost come to collect interest on kindness." He poured another glass of whiskey, his hands trembling just enough to make the liquid spill over. "I don't do debts," he muttered. "I settle them." But something was wrong. The air in the room felt heavy, thick, like the calm before something broke. Outside, thunder cracked through the snow-laden sky, and the bulb above him flickered once, then died. Darkness swallowed everything except those two golden eyes. When the power returned seconds later, the wolf was gone. Joker didn't panic. He just sat very still, listening. The old factory creaked. Water dripped from pipes. Then, faintly, he heard claws against concrete, moving deeper inside. He followed the sound through narrow corridors, past broken machinery and dust-choked windows, until he reached the sub-basement, a place he hadn't opened in years. There, painted faintly across the wall in the dim emergency light, were the same words he'd seen at the butcher shop. Debt repaid. Debt renewed. Beneath them, a single paw print, in blood. He knelt, tracing the print with his gloved fingers. It was still warm. "You're not just a wolf," he whispered. "You're a message." Then he heard it, a voice, soft, broken, familiar. "Why did you save me, Arthur?" His breath froze in his lungs. Nobody called him Arthur anymore. Not since the city stripped that name from him, replaced it with the one whispered in fear and laughter. Slowly he turned. The wolf was there, but it wasn't the same. Its body shimmered faintly, distorting the air around it like heat. And standing behind it, half-formed from shadow and smoke, was a man. Pale face, hollow eyes. The kind of face he'd seen once in a morgue years ago. Joker staggered backward. "No, you're dead." The figure smiled. "So were you once." It took him a moment to recognize the voice, the tone, the rhythm. The man's name came to him like a splinter under the skin. Elias Ward. His only friend from before everything fell apart. A whistleblower, the one who had exposed Gotham's corruption and who had vanished 2 winters ago, found supposedly frozen beneath the river ice. Joker's laughter returned, brittle and empty. "You were the reason they came after me. The reason they called me a liar. You left me to burn." Elias, or whatever wore his shape, stepped closer, his form flickering like static. "No, Arthur. They killed me for trying to protect you, and now someone else has picked up where they left off. The same men, the same corruption. You think you're free of it. You're still their pawn." The wolf growled softly beside him. Joker could feel its breath against his wrist, warm, real. "What do you want from me?" Joker whispered. "Justice," Elias said, "the kind you were born to deliver. But to pay the debt, you have to finish what I started." The word debt rang in his skull like a bell. He looked at the wolf again, and suddenly he understood. The animal wasn't just something he saved, it was a bridge between life and death, between his guilt and Elias's vengeance. He shook his head, laughing through tears. "You want me to hunt them? To become your executioner?" "You already are," Elias replied. "You just need to remember who deserves it." For a moment, the world felt too quiet. Then Joker smiled. Not the painted grin the city knew, but a real one. Small, sad, terrifyingly human. "You always had a way with words, Eli. Fine, I'll pay the debt." The wolf's eyes flared brighter, and before Joker could blink, both Elias and the animal vanished into the shadows, leaving only the echo of their breathing behind. He stood alone in the basement, a man reborn in madness, or maybe truth. 2 nights later, Gotham woke to chaos. The mayor's mansion burned. The police chief's wife vanished. And at each scene, investigators found the same thing: a bloody paw print and a message scrawled across the wall. "Justice has teeth." Every news channel called it another spree by the Joker. But he knew better. This wasn't his doing. Not entirely. The wolf was back. Somewhere out there, moving before he could, killing before he planned. He sat by the window that night, staring at the snow melting under neon lights, whispering, "You can't have vengeance without losing something." His reflection in the glass looked older, hollowed out. For the first time, he wasn't sure if he was the predator or the prey. Then came the knock at the door. Soft measured, almost polite. Joker opened it slowly, expecting police, expecting guns, but it wasn't them. It was a little girl, no more than 8, standing barefoot in the snow, in her hands, a small bloodied collar. "This is yours," she said. "He said you'd know what it means." Joker stared at the collar, his pulse hammering. It was the one he'd tied around the wolf's neck, the piece of his coat. Before he could speak, the girl smiled faintly and whispered, "He's waiting for you," where it all began. Then she turned and vanished into the storm. Joker looked down at the collar. Inside the fabric, a new message had been carved into the leather with something sharp, not a threat, but a destination. "Beneath the ice." His laughter echoed through the empty streets that night. Not loud, not mad, but quiet and knowing. Because the wolf hadn't just survived, it was calling him home. The city was asleep when Joker walked back into the place where the story had begun. The frozen river that sliced through Gotham like a scar. The snow had stopped, but the cold was sharper than ever, whispering secrets through the wind. His boots crunched against the frost, leaving tracks that vanished almost instantly, as if the world itself wanted to erase his path. He stopped where the river met the old bridge, the same spot where he'd pulled the wolf from the ice, the same place they'd found Elias Ward's body years ago. The moon hung low, casting a pale light over the cracked surface of the frozen water. Everything was too quiet, like the world was holding its breath. He knelt beside the hole, still visible beneath a thin film of new ice. The edges were jagged, dark, a wound that never healed. Joker stared into the black water and whispered, "You brought me back here. Now show me why." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a sound, faint at first, rippled through the silence. A growl, low, distant, rising from somewhere deep beneath the surface. The ice trembled beneath his knees. Bubbles rose through the water. Then something pale began to emerge, not quite solid, not quite shadow. The wolf. It rose slowly, its form flickering between flesh and mist, its golden eyes burning brighter than the moonlight. Joker didn't move. He watched as the creature stepped onto the ice, leaving no footprints this time. It looked different, larger, colder, ancient. There was no blood on its fur now, only frost. "You're not here for vengeance anymore," Joker said softly. "You're here for me." The wolf tilted its head, and for a moment he saw a shape inside its reflection. Elias. His face pale beneath the ice, his eyes open, watching. "Elias," Joker whispered, his voice trembling for the first time. "Tell me what this is. Tell me what you want." But Elias didn't speak. The wolf did. Its voice was not of flesh. It echoed inside Joker's head, layered and cold. "The debt was never mine alone." Joker stepped back, shaking his head. No, I saved you. I gave you life." The wolf's eyes narrowed. "You saved yourself." The ice cracked under his feet, a sharp sound slicing the night. Joker froze, realizing the truth pressing against him like a weight. This wasn't about the wolf. It never was. It was about the man he used to be. Arthur Fleck, the man who had watched his friend die beneath this river and done nothing to stop it. The wolf took another step closer. The air around it shimmered with a cold that reached into Joker's chest. "Elias tried to expose them," Joker whispered, voice shaking. "The people who used me, framed me, turned me into their monster. He wanted justice, and I—" "You wanted revenge," the voice interrupted. "You turned his cause into chaos." He couldn't deny it. The laughter he used to wear like armor began to crack. "So this is it," he said, almost laughing through the pain. "You came to make me pay." But the wolf shook its head slowly. "No, you came to repay yourself." The ice beneath him groaned again, louder this time. Joker looked down and saw his reflection splintering across the surface, breaking into 1,000 fragments of painted smiles and hollow eyes. For a heartbeat he saw both men, Arthur and the Joker, overlapping in the glassy mirror. The wolf circled him once, slow and deliberate. The golden eyes softened. "To break the debt, you must face what you buried." And then the ice gave way. The water swallowed him whole, freezing, suffocating, pulling him into blackness. He didn't fight. For once, he let the current take him. The world above vanished, and for a moment, it felt peaceful. No laughter, no screams, no Gotham. Just silence. Through the darkness, he saw something glowing. The wolf again, drifting beside him, guiding him deeper. And then he saw Elias's body, perfectly preserved beneath the ice, eyes open as if waiting all these years. Joker reached out. His fingers brushed the man's coat, and something shifted. A vision. He saw himself the night Elias died, standing on the bridge, watching as men in black suits threw Elias into the river. He had been there, he had done nothing, because back then he was still afraid. Still human. The realization hit him like the cold, pure and merciless. The wolf wasn't a ghost of Elias. It was his guilt given form, a living embodiment of everything he refused to face. When he broke the surface again, gasping for air, dawn was breaking over Gotham. The river had gone still. The wolf stood on the shore, silent, watching. Joker crawled onto the ice, trembling, his makeup smeared away by the freezing water. For the first time, there was no smile. He whispered, "So that's what you were, my debt." The wolf stepped closer, eyes softer now, almost kind. Then it turned and walked toward the rising sun. With each step, its body dissolved into mist until there was nothing left but the echo of its growl, carried by the wind. Joker watched until the last trace vanished. Then he laughed, quietly, without madness, a laugh that sounded almost human. "Guess even monsters get a second chance," he murmured. But as he turned to leave, something caught his eye. Carved into the ice where the wolf had stood, "Debt cleared. Cycle continues." His laughter stopped. He knelt, touching the words with numb fingers. The air felt colder again, heavier. Then, from far behind him, across the empty river, came a sound. Another growl. Not one. Many. Dozens of golden eyes flickered to life beneath the trees, watching him from the shadows. Joker's grin returned, slow and knowing. "Well," he whispered, standing tall against the dawn, "seems I've started a family." The wind carried his laughter across the frozen city, soft, haunting, and eternal. If you felt the chill of Joker's truth and the haunting echo of the wolf's debt, don't let this story fade into the dark. There are more tales like this, stories where madness meets meaning, and villains wear the mask of heroes.
Hit subscribe now, turn on the bell icon, and join us for the next twisted journey into the mind of the misunderstood.
Because in this world, every smile hides a story.